Here we go. SovCit in the house.
Your Honor,
Back on to continue your motions. Let's start with
did
that
not make
motion
a motion.
regarding the jurisdictional issue. I'm denying that motion. What's your next motion
Your Honor,
after
it was
jurisdiction?
not a motion.
Okay,
Unless and until the court can prove jurisdiction over I, Edward John, the living man, with the jurisdiction of an American state national, which is only the jurisdiction of the land, not the admiralty law, unless you can prove jurisdiction over me, the living man, then this cannot proceed.
okay. Well,
Now, I
district
know
court
that
has jurisdiction over individuals who drive in this county, and so I find we have jurisdiction over you, and it's
No, I am
irrelevant
not
whether
a
it's in
driver.
capital letters or in lowercase.
No, Your Honor, I am not the name in the capital letters. That vessel is a trust that I have called back to the jurisdiction of the land, and I am the administrator of that trust. And I am also of the living man, the American State National. Are you familiar with the jurisdiction of the American State National, Your Honor?
I am familiar with individuals driving in Jefferson County being under jurisdiction of the district court, sir.
Your Honor, I was not driving, okay? Driving indicates that you're operating in commerce. I was not operating in commerce, okay?
Okay,
I'm not here to defend that at all. I'm not going to argue this alleged infraction. What I want is for your court to establish jurisdiction over me, the living man, who is not Edward John Hauser in all capital letters. That is a vessel that I own and control and has been placed on dry dock under the jurisdiction of the land, which is higher and above, beyond the jurisdiction of the sea wherein you operate. So let the court be known that I serve notice on this court and its public officials associated with this court that all my vessels are owed the general session law and public law and are not subject to any private statutory or municipal law administered by this court. So if the court needs more time to investigate my documents, then I will admit they are voluminous, and then I am willing to come back and go over this matter with you again.
I do not need more time, Mr. Hauser, and I'm going to swear you in. Do you swear that everything you're about to tell the court today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Trade-off is a new one on me too.
I'm going to read the officer's report of what happened for purposes of this contested hearing, sir. And so you have 3 alleged violations. No
Your
valid
Honor,
operator's license,
you
valid
have not
ID.
demonstrated
I'm
jurisdiction
sorry,
before you
Mr.
can move
Hauser,
forward.
Mr. Hauser, I'm sorry, I let you speak without interruption. Now I'm going to speak and then you can speak again. So you're charged with 3 violations: no valid operator's license with valid ID, RCW 46.20.015. You're also charged in violation 2, operating a motor vehicle without insurance, RCW 46.30.020. And number 3 is operating a vehicle without current or proper registration and license plate, RCW 46.168.030.2. Sir, I do find we have jurisdiction, and I do find that this is a contested hearing, and I'm going to read you the officer's report of what happened. It says here, March 4th, 2023, at about 12:56, I was on duty in a marked patrol car equipped with overhead emergency lights. I was on routine patrol in the area of Irondale Road in Irondale, Washington, observing traffic through the posted 35-mile-per-hour speed zone when I observed the defendant's black-colored Dodge Dakota pickup eastbound along Irondale Road. The defendant's vehicle did not have a license plate visible on either front or rear of the pickup. I turned on my emergency lights and initiated a traffic stop on the defendant's vehicle as it pulled off Irondale Road onto 5th Avenue into the church parking lot. I identified myself as a law enforcement officer and contacted the driver of the vehicle and explained the reason for the stop. The driver was later identified as Edward J. Hauser, date of birth 7/21/45. I requested the operator's driver's license, vehicle registration, and proof of insurance. The driver, who told me I could call him Ed, initially did not provide his name and never provided his vehicle registration or proof of vehicle insurance throughout the contact. Ed refused to provide the requested documents, further advising it was his right to, quote, travel, unquote, identifying himself similar to a sovereign citizen. Ed provided me a packet of paperwork, further stating he did not have to identify himself or provide me any information as requested. I explained to Ed, operating a motor vehicle in the state of Washington was a privilege and not a right, further explaining it is unlawful for any person while operating or in charge of any vehicle to refuse when requested by a police officer to give his or her name and address and the name and address of the owner of such vehicle. Likewise unlawful for any person to refuse upon demand of such police officer to produce his or her certificate of license registration of such vehicle, his or her insurance identification card, which is a misdemeanor, RCW 46.61.020. Ed continued to stand behind his beliefs in which he had the right to, quote, travel, unquote, freely. I was able to obtain Ed's full name off the paperwork he provided to me. I later was able to identify the correct registration to Ed's vehicle by the identification number on the vehicle dispatch. Later advised Ed's driver's license was expired and the vehicle's registration was expired on February 4th, 2022. Correct Washington registration B57933W. I recontacted the Ed and issued a traffic infraction 3A0204968 for the following offenses: no valid operator's license with identification, failure to provide proof of motor vehicle insurance, and failure to renew registration. This contact was recorded by Axon body camera. This narrative summarizes the events related to the investigation. The report may contain paraphrased conversations intended only as a summary. Details reported may not describe the exact sequence of events. During this investigation, one or more audio video recordings were captured on body-worn cameras worn by Jefferson County Sheriff's deputies. These recordings were uploaded to evidence and
If there's anybody out there who knows how to get body cam footage, hit me up. Email irishdemonarmy@gmail.com. We gotta find that.
Washington, that the foregoing is true and correct. Place signed Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, Port Outlet, Washington, and Jefferson County. Date signed 3/4/23, Deputy Eric Morris. And that's all I have, sir. What would you like to testify to?
Well, Your Honor, you claimed that I am being charged with.
William, please, sir, I really want to be able to hear you.
Okay, well, Your Honor,
I can't do that.
you are making the claim, and the officer is making the claim that I am being charged with these crimes or these infractions, these alleged infractions. But
It's just a civil infraction.
Your Honor, the fact remains that I, Edward John, a living man with the legal, on the record status, legal status, as an American state national, am only under the common law. I do not fall under statutory municipal codes. All right? So before you can move on me, the living man, you must prove jurisdiction. Every court has to do that. In personam and subject matter jurisdiction. So unless the court does that, then we can't move forward. And so I suggest that you and your associates study my documents clearly so that you can understand my true legal status, which is outside of your jurisdiction. You operate on behalf of a fiction. I am tangible. And again, I'm going to bring up the Penhallow case where they conclude, and this is a Supreme Court case that's been around since 1795, and it has never been challenged. No government, as well as any law agency, aspect, court, etc., can concern itself with anything other than corporate, artificial persons, and contracts between them. So unless and until the court can prove that I am corporate or artificial and that I have a contract with whom you are acting on behalf, then you cannot move forward, and I insist that you dismiss this immediately.
Paper drop.
Thank you, Mr. Hauser. I understand that you are objecting to the court's finding that there is jurisdiction over you, just like it had jurisdiction over all the other folks that were here.
No, it's not
And I
just like
find
that.
Excuse
No.
me, I'm speaking, sir, then you
Okay.
can speak. I do find we have jurisdiction over you. You have a right to appeal the court's finding, and you can do that within 30 days. Would you like to testify about the incident where the officer pulled you over for not having your vehicle license plate displayed? Because if you want to testify about that, I can hear your testimony.
Your Honor,
It's a yes or no.
in my legal jurisdiction, I don't even recognize yours. I am above your jurisdiction. All right. I'm not here to argue any facts of this case and come and fall under your jurisdiction by, word art or any other diversions. I'm stating my case that the reality about me is that I am a living man. I'm an American state national, and my jurisdiction, that is my original birthright jurisdiction that all Americans are born with, and it is taken away from us by the birth certificate, where they issue your name in all capital letters, and that is a corporate entity that is owned and controlled by the government, unless somebody steps forward and claims their ownership of it, which I have done, and I have demonstrated it. And I have put it all on the record. And by the way, if I'm wondering if you are willing to bet your qualified immunity by refusing my right to establish my jurisdiction and failing your right, your obligation to establish your jurisdiction over me, the living man, the American national. Now I'm willing to do a continuance, meet with you again in the future if you need more time to study my paperwork.
Oh, condescending.
Because all of that is on the record.
Sir. I've read all your documents. So do you want to testify? I'm giving you a second opportunity to testify about the incident, and the court is going to make a determination by a preponderance of evidence whether or not you committed the 3 infractions. You can either testify about it, you can ask for mitigation, you could ask for a deferred finding. You are eligible for a deferred finding, or we can just, the court can go with what the officer said in his affidavit. So do you want to testify about the incident, sir? Or do you want to have a mitigation or a deferred finding, sir?
I'm not subject to your court, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, I have reviewed the officer's affidavit, which I read on the record. I do find that these infractions were committed. The total amount owing, sir, is going to be $1,263. And I guess the question is, do you want to pay that today, or do you want to set up a payment plan with the district court clerk's office?
Well, the question that remains in my mind is, where is the evidence of your jurisdiction to levy that fee on me, the living man, the American state national, out of your jurisdiction?
Okay. And again, sir, driving in Jefferson County is a choice you made. It's not a right, it's a privilege, and you have, by making that choice, put yourself in the jurisdiction of this court for driving infractions. So.
Excuse me, Your Honor, 49 U.S. Code 31301 definitions. Driver's license means a license issued by a state to an individual authorizing the individual to operate a motor vehicle on highways. This indicates, and since a motor vehicle is any conveyance used in commerce, then a driver's license is a commercial instrument. And I was not carrying any passengers, and I was not carrying any cargo. I was traveling. My liberty to move about on the public highways as part of the public. And I was exercising that right, and I was not operating in commerce. Let that be on the record, because that is the true definition of what a driver is, someone operating in commerce. I assume you know that.
All right, I do find that these infractions were committed. The no valid operator's license with ID, the operating a vehicle without insurance, and number 3, the operating a vehicle without a current and proper registration and license plate. And we're going to impose a total amount of $1,263. It's $559 for the no valid operator's license, $559 for the operating a vehicle without insurance, and $145 for operating a vehicle without current or proper registration.
Oh no, they cut the live. God damn, we were only behind by 20 seconds anyway, so we didn't really miss a whole lot there.